Howdy, this is Lemmy with RevZilla TV, here to talk to you today about the Bridgestone Battlax Adventure A40 tire. You should be checking out a set of A40s for your bike if you're ripping around on an ADV bike, but you're spending most of your time on the road. These things are currently really only being made in two sizes, 150/70/17 as well as a 110/80/19, both very common ADV sizes. However, there might be one coming. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Installation on these is like most tires. I'm going to call it a two-bearder. It's not a great process, probably not an excellent first-time project, but it's also not mind-numbingly difficult either. If you've ever done tires before, these are going to be pretty standard. Let's get right into these things. Bridgestone has developed the A40 Battlax specifically for those of you guys who are on adventure bikes who are not taking your bike off-road very often. This trend actually, I think, is kind of cool. There's a lot of people out there who have realized that an ADV bike is really just a touring bike with a very upright riding position. A lot of those mounts make really, really good touring machines. Those of you guys who are on Super Tenerés or perhaps the big GS, or those of you on big V-Stroms, really they're a great touring type of a motorcycle, and you don't necessarily need to take the thing off-road to have a great time. Much as there's lots of on-road guys who are starting to put knobbies on things, the trend is also reversed. I think you're seeing a lot of people taking these bikes and really putting their paces on the streets, and they should. They have big motors, they're super comfortable, they're great for covering a lot of distance. The A40 is the tire you want. And the Battlax was developed in the sizes that are going to fit those common ADV bikes, but with a lot of features that are going to make them very street friendly. Some of them you can see, some of them you can't. One of the things you can't see in here is the amount of silica in here. Bridgestone has dumped a bunch of silica into this tire. It's a time-honored recipe for making a tire perform well in wet weather. All that additional silica is going to make these things stick even if you're hitting bad weather. Now, one of the other things that you probably can't see, but I'll try and demonstrate for you, is sidewall stiffness. These things are not like your classic ADV tire where they're trying to have some off-road flexibility and allow the tire to conform to some of the obstacles it's going to roll over. Instead, knowing that you're not going to be off-road very much, they made these things with extra sidewall stiffeners. The sidewalls in here are super beefy. It's going to make mounting them up a little bit of a pain, but that reduced flex means that these aren't going to heat up. They're not going to squish and squirm underneath you. They're not going to heat up. They're going to give you good, consistent cornering performance, and they're also going to give you better mileage, again, because they're not getting as hot. We know that heat kills tires. Resistance to flexing keeps the heat down. So it's going to give you good life compared to some of the more off-road based stuff. Now, some of the stuff you might be able to see. If we look at this thing and turn it around here, the tread profile on here is actually slightly different than most of your true off-roadish ADV tires. These things are actually made a little bit broader and a little bit flatter. And the reason Bridgestone is doing this is trying to get you the maximum amount of contact patch possible. That's not so important in an off-road situation, but when you're on the street, you want every bit of rubber hitting the ground you can. So if they can widen that just a little bit and lengthen it just a little bit, that tiny little additional bit of rubber actually yields great benefits. You're going to stick to the road a lot better. The final thing you're definitely going to be able to see in this tire, as far as changes and deviations from the ADV norm, are the size of these tread blocks. Look how big these things are. Those big tread blocks are going to help you stick to the road. They're also, again, going to resist flex. So these are going to give you lots and lots of bite into the pavement. And what they're also going to do too is, since they're going to be unyielding and be very firm, they're going to give you a good feel. They're not going to feel squishy underneath you. And again, they're going to contribute to that long tire life. Now, installation on these, as I mentioned, two-beard like all tires. It's kind of a wrestling match between you and the tire, unless you have a tire changer, in which case you already know what it's like to change a tire. It's a breeze if you have the right tools. I think these things are a super cool tire. As I had mentioned earlier, I really like the trend of people getting onto ADV bikes and covering long miles. Nothing beats that upright riding position, and they really are very powerful, capable bikes most of the time. My opinion, however, is not the only game in town. Click below, see what some riders who are rocking an A40 Battlax and their bike have to say about them. If you've got any type of fitment questions, or you need to know if this is going to be the tire for you, get in touch with one of our gear geeks. See us at RevZilla.com, we'll get you a geek by email, or you can always pick up the phone and give us a call, 877-792-9455. I'm Lemmy, I'm out of here.